Hey, good Tuesday morning, everybody. First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. A lot of sleet mixing in with the rain this morning, and even getting a couple reports of some snowflakes, which are probably going to be very few and far between. I'm not shocked we're going to see a snowflake, but it's not a really good snow setup. This is really going to be sleet changing to rain. Let me show you what's going on right now across the area. We had this rain come in much quicker, about 4 to 5 hours quicker. So as it's moving into the dry air, we're getting what's called evaporative cooling. And I'll show you why this is happening on the sounding here in a minute, but this is causing rain to fall and then refreeze on the way down into sleet. Remember, sleet is hard ice that bounces off of things. If you're hearing something outside, that's not freezing rain. Freezing rain is liquid rain that falls below 32 degrees. So it has to be 32 or colder at the surface to be considered freezing rain. When you see ice, actually hear it bouncing or seeing it bounce off stuff, that's sleet. That's been freezing on the way down. That's why temperatures can be well above freezing at the ground. It's freezing up above our heads and then falling to the ground. But you can see temperatures are well above the freezing mark at the ground. So there's no road issues with this, even in the heavier bursts. It's just going to make the road wet temporarily as these little bursts move through. But let me show you the radar closer up, because anytime we see the bright banding, what I mean by that is these higher reflectivity returns like there and there. Remember, sleet pellets are hard. They're solid. They bounce off the radar better, so it shows up really well. If I turn on the what we call the correlation coefficient, this is dual Doppler data. When you see the red, that's precipitation that's all the same size. So all snow or all rain. When you see the yellows showing up like we're seeing here, this is where we're getting mixing. So we're getting sleet pellets mixing in here with rain, because those are two different shaped objects. So the relationship between the two shows up as a lower percentage. And that's what we're seeing there. And you can see that kind of moving to the area, little pockets of sleet. So I'd expect sleet to continue here for a little bit longer, but eventually it's going to change to all rain, especially as the heavier stuff back here moves in. Now, temperatures aren't going to exactly warm up much today. The reason we had the sleet this morning is the surface layer dew points were really dry. So as the rain was falling, it was evaporatively cooling and freezing on the way down. And that's why we ended up with some of that ice. So let me show you real quickly what I'm talking about. This is the sounding out of Greensboro this morning. Now, this dashed line is the 0 degree line. You can see up around 5 to 6,000 feet, the temperature was well above freezing. So this was likely starting as rain, but as it fell down below 4,000 feet, the air temperature was below freezing and it was very dry. So the rain that started up here above freezing refreezed on the way down. Then it got to the surface, and the surface temperature was in the upper 30s. Didn't have enough time to melt. So that's how you end up with basically sleet, is what we saw this morning. Now, as we go through the day, the warmer air aloft is actually going to get deeper and warmer, so it's going to change everything to rain, and the surface temperatures will cool a little bit more, but they're going to stay above freezing, except in the mountains where we could have some significant icing occur. And let me show you a future cast here, and I'll show you how this unfolds. So we'll go through the morning hours, and notice the rain becomes more heavy, but then notice the red showing up in the mountains. And I think even the model's having a tough time. I think this will be all freezing rain at some point here later this afternoon into the evening hours. And you can see as we go towards 6, 7 o'clock, you can see how the air gets colder up here up against the mountains. There will be sleet and maybe some snow mixing in at times, but this area in particular, it's really the ice that's going to cause the issues. So even if it starts to snow, I would love for it to stay snow, because that would be less of an issue. As we go into the overnight hours, you can see how this transitions to mainly all red, which is not a good sign. That's all freezing rain. This is about midnight to 12:30. We go into the early morning hours. Look at that ice just sitting there on the eastern facing slope. So any of these areas, Upper Burke, Caldwell County, Blowing Rock area, this is going to be a pretty significant icing event in this area. I think we could see at least a 1/4 inch of ice, which would definitely cause some power line issues. And you can see how it lasts past noon, and then it takes until about 4 or 5 o'clock for it to taper off. That's when the winter storm warning expires, and then it becomes all rain after that. So I'll loop this a couple times just to show you, starting tonight into the overnight hours and into early tomorrow morning. So yeah, it was kind of cool to see some sleet across the Charlotte area, but unfortunately, for people that love snow, this isn't really going to change the snow. It's going to change to a miserable cold rain as more moisture moves in from the south. There's still a lot of moisture down here that has to move up, but don't expect temperatures to warm up much today. Temperatures are pretty much stuck in the upper 30s to low 40s. It's going to be a miserable cold rain today and tomorrow. And for folks here in the mountains and foothills, heads up, this could be a pretty icy event tomorrow morning. I likely expect delays and closures in many locations up there. Have a great Tuesday. I'll post updates throughout the afternoon and evening, but just be ready now. You've got till tonight. Once that sun goes down in the mountains and foothills, those temperatures will drop quickly and the icing will become a big concern up there.